Bom dia, this is your pilot speaking. Welcome to the land of Carnaval and Samba. Please have your passports and dancing legs ready.
Carnaval do Brasil não tem igual.
Our current forecast calls for sizzling beaches, a steamy nightlife,
It's hot in Rio.
and non-stop adventure.
I've never seen anything like this.
If you cannot or will not samba, please remain seated and enjoy a lovely bag of peanuts. Thank you and enjoy your stay. Brookberg goes wild on Rio, only on E!
Before the break, we asked you this question. And the answer is Runaway Bride.
Who's ready to rank? So you're going to the movies. Well, what sounds good? A chick flick? An action adventure? I know. How about a scary movie? Everybody loves a good scary movie.
I like scary movies.
I love scary movies.
I don't like being scared in theaters. I don't.
Okay, so not everybody, but what would you rank as the scariest movie of all time?
Rosemary's Baby.
Children of the Corn.
Friday the 13th.
I like Halloween. Silence of the Lambs and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, the one with Matthew McConaughey in it.
Actually, Matthew was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4, and I don't think so. Tonight, it's going to take more than a pretty face to pull rank. Brooke Burke, and this is Rank, a countdown of the hottest, coolest, and most popular people, places, and things in entertainment E-style. We're here at Not Scary Farm, and if you haven't guessed by now, we're counting down the 13 scariest movies of all time.
You'll feel all the thrills and chills of seeing one ghost multiplied by the magic number 13.
They all scare the crap out of me. I was a kid at the sleepover birthday parties who was like behind the couch, hiding under a blanket with my ears like plugged and covered.
I do like scary movies. I like to see a naked scene with a big-chested woman. That scares the hell out of me, and then I love it.
Easy now, Kevin. Let me ask you a question. What creeps you out? I mean, what really makes your heart race and your palms all sweaty? Besides the thought of feathered hair making a comeback.
Oh, that would be too scary for me.
Tell me about it. But when it comes to scary movies, what is it that makes you toss your popcorn?
You know what the scariest thing is? It's like very simple things. Little creaks in the floor. If you can see it, it's not scary anymore. It's what you don't know. That's what scares you.
Oh, I think it's all kinds of things. I think it's the setup. I think it's the, the build up to what's going to happen. I think it's a slow opening door and what's going to jump out from the side.
The moments in between when the music starts rising and the anticipation.
What I find most interesting about a scary film is how they're able to sort of creep into your imagination, and it's the things that you don't see that are most frightening.
Wow, that's deep.
I guess I like smaller, sort of suspenseful, sort of more ghost-like scary movies.
It's not like bloody and gory, but it's really keeps you on the edge of your seat, and like a Hitchcock movie or something, where I think just something that keeps you waiting for something.
A scary movie has to be unpredictable, and it has to get under your skin. It has to go from the center of where you live, almost physically, as opposed to anything intellectual. It's a visceral thing.
We haven't even started our list yet, but as long as we're on the subject of screamers, every scary movie has got to have at least one blood-curdling scream.
The thrill of the great scream queens, seeing them in films, do their stuff and do their big screaming. There's kind of a sexual thrill to that.
Hey now, that's a different show. But of course, no blood-curdling scream would be complete without, a little blood.
I only find, blood. I get really, sick when I see blood.
I'm with Mila.
I'll probably be, laid out on a stretcher by the end.
Hang in there, Megan. Now, the most important element in a scary movie is, what else? The villain. You gotta have a really good bad guy. So let's begin our countdown with one of the freakiest movie villains of all time.
He's a guy so ugly, so vile, so cruel that none of those poor kids on Elm Street could get a decent night's rest. That's right, I'm talking about Freddy Krueger. He's the main reason A Nightmare on Elm Street ranks at number 13 on our list of scariest movies.
Nightmare on Elm Street really makes it horrifying to go to sleep.
Freddy Krueger scared the bejesus out of me. I didn't dream for weeks because that's where it gets you, is in your dreams with it.
Freddy Krueger, the ultimate mental villain.
Was it his flashy sense of style that made Freddy so fierce? The red and green striped sweater, the tattered fedora, maybe it was that really sharp glove.
Be my deaf ear!
It was probably that skin condition which would send any dermatologist into a cold sweat.
He is a boogeyman in the truest sense of the word. We could say he's kind of a classic invention from Wes Craven's mind.
Freddy Krueger is probably the scariest one for us. Nightmare on Elm Street was my best. Yeah, it was. I actually was scared, but now I'm grown and I know about movie making. I'll bust Freddy Krueger's ass. Stop lying. Stop lying.
Director Wes Craven dreamt up the idea for the film back in 1978. Craven read a series of articles about people who had nightmares and then later died in their sleep.
Freddy was kind of a combination of a man who scared me when I was a kid, who was kind of shambling along the street late one night when I was a little boy, and I went to the window and looked up right at me. And I jumped back and hid and waited to hear him go. And he waited, and I thought, well, he must have gone because it's been so long. And I went back and he was there and he just went. So that was basically the template for Freddy.
The flick kept Freddy up at night, too.
I have a recurring Freddy scare. I fell asleep during the making of the first one. I'm asleep and Mr. England, we need you now. And I sat up, I opened my eyes, and there in the dim half-light of the dimmer bulbs around the makeup mirror was this old burned man moving in exact relationship to me, but in reverse. And of course it was me in the Freddy makeup. I had forgotten I was in the makeup.
It was very entertaining. It went so far off the cheese meter.
Terrifying. I don't understand how he can still not be dead. Killed him so many times. How can he still be alive? But he's not a nice person.
Eating out of the furnace and stuff. What's that about, man? Fire is supposed to kill ya.
My favorite scene is they pull Johnny Depp into the bed and like 80 gallons of blood flies all over his room. That's the only part I saw.
Aha! Did you forget that Johnny Depp was one of Freddy's victims? We've got 12 more bone-chilling movies coming right up, including one about an illegal stowaway with a nasty temper. But first, we wanted to give our E-Online users a chance to weigh in. We asked you to rank the guys you'd be most likely to run from in a dark alley.
Personally, I'd run from all these guys, but your choice for number 5 is Jason from Friday the 13th. Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre sent you running for the hills. He's at number 4. Pinhead, the guy from Hellraiser, who looks like he's been to the acupuncturist one too many times, ranked number 3. At number 2 is Halloween's infamous man in the white mask, Michael Myers. And the guy you'd be most likely to run from in a dark alley is Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street.
We're counting down the scariest movies of all time. And no, we don't mean Spice World. We're talking really frightening.
I prefer the emotionally scary films. Broadcast news, things where you think, oh God, I can't be in a relationship with someone like that. I sit in the audience terrified because I'm watching these people fall in love and I think, no.
Well, yeah, relationships can be pretty scary, Eric, but that's another subject altogether. Horror filmmakers have always played on our innate fear of the unknown, like the dark or the deep, or what about space?
Probably the nastiest extraterrestrial of all time was the one that threw down with Sigourney Weaver in the deep space thriller Alien. That ranked at number 12 on our list of the scariest movies of all time.
There's just so many, it's really hard to pick one, you know what I mean? So I think I would stick with Alien.
The first Alien movie, that terrifies me.
It's a brilliant movie, and Ridley Scott is master.
I really remember when they go over to find the derelict ship and that first video image when they're trying to figure out what the hell is that. And you just see that grainy video and start to feel the hair on your neck start to kind of stand up. There's a lot of great scenes in this.
I think the most horrifying thing was the alien bursting out of John Hurt's stomach. That cleared the movie theater at the screening that I was at. We had never seen anything like that in a horror film, and I don't think we've seen anything as horrifying as that since.
An enormous amount of imagination went into it. It has all the writing and a very good ensemble cast. Other films have had that, but somehow this one seemed to have a magic about it.
I loved that movie. Very scary. Still scary now, too.
It started everything. They finally did an alien movie that scared the bejesus out of you.
Besides being a breakthrough horror film, this was really a breakthrough for female characters.
There's been a tradition in the world and in literature of great women warriors. You know, they don't scream and give up, which most people in a crisis don't do anyway. Well, maybe I do, but Ripley doesn't.
This is the first movie where women really fought back.
First girl butt-kicking movie, and that's why that movie rocked, because it was a hot chick kicking butt.
Yeah, and check this out. Weaver's character, Lieutenant Ripley, was originally written to be a man.
My favorite scene is where she's in her underwear.
Oh my God, was that scary. Holy smoke, was that scary. I was just hiding my head and screaming and running out of the room. I was just terrified. Really frightening. Really, really frightening. Really scary. Oh!
The next movie on our list is also about a girl who kicks butt, only in a different way. The film was based on a Stephen King story about a shy teenage misfit with the gift of telekinesis. That's when you can move objects without touching them, but you knew that. So you know what movie we're talking about?
Carrie, that scared me so much I didn't even say it.
Well, we did, and that's why Carrie ranks at number 11 on our list.
Anyone who missed out on prom night is not going to feel too bad after seeing Carrie.
Carrie, I think, is a very, very beautiful, stylish film. One of the great enduring images of modern horror cinema. At the prom with that look, with the pig blood all over her.
I remember doing that scene with the blood and trying to imagine what it would be like and trying not to react to knowing it was about to happen.
What can be said about Carrie? That one scene with the dumping and her Sissy Spacek in her eyes.
Sissy, once she got that blood on, she went into some kind of Zen trance that was difficult for me to recreate or understand how she did it. She just did this thing that was so terrifying.
I was a teenager when I saw that, and I could identify a lot with the alienation that she was feeling and all the torture she was subjected to.
Okay, here's a really scary thought. The movie inspired a Broadway musical. Yes, I said musical. And critics thought the show was, well, a bloody mess. While you try to recover from that, check out our next E! Online poll. We asked you to rank scary movie one-liners that you just can't get out of your head.
"Leave her alone, you bitch," was the line Sigourney Weaver delivered to the alien in the sequel Aliens. That ranked at number 5. At number 4 is "They're all gonna laugh at you," the line Piper Laurie said to Sissy Spacek over and over again in Carrie. Who can forget Anthony Hopkins discussing his favorite midnight snack in Silence of the Lambs? "I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti." You ranked that at number 3. "They're here" came from Poltergeist, and that's at number 2. And from The Sixth Sense, the scariest one-liner you can't get out of your head is, "I see dead people."
Welcome back to Rank, our countdown of the 13 scariest movies of all time. Now, since the early 70s, director Wes Craven has been making some of the best scary movies in Hollywood. The guy clearly has a knack for making us scream. Which brings us to number 10 on our list, the scary movie that also wins the award for having the hottest looking cast. Wes Craven's 1996 hit, Scream.
I love Scream. I'm just a huge Wes Craven fan, so. Who? Wes Craven.
The first reason for doing Scream was that it was a very, very good script. It was Also, kind of a natural extension of a film I had done not that far before, Nightmare 7. I think they call it Wes Craven's New Nightmare. In Wes Craven's New Nightmare, it was the filmmakers, the actors, the producers, the director, and everything that were the central characters. In Kevin Williamson's version, he flipped it, and it was the fans. And of course, that I could see the potential was even greater for it to be recognized by fans and embraced by them as, hey, that's us.
I knew that this was not just a normal scary movie because of the humor and the fact that it was such a satire and people making fun of themselves.
After Scream was made, I was like, I don't want to do any scary movies because that was so good. I don't want to try to compete with that.
They combine humor with horror and what they need to do, and I think that's just an amazing combination. If you can actually pull all those combinations off in a movie, you're gonna have a very enjoyable film.
Being stalked by someone and not having control over that and feeling as though, violence could happen to you at any moment, that is terrifying. I think that's everybody's worst nightmare.
Oh, it was definitely a scary film. It kind of set a precedent in terms of movies, and I mean, people are still doing a lot of horror movies because of the Scream success,
Moving right along, our next feature film stars a guy named Leatherface who has a penchant for power tools. The flick was made in 1974 for a measly $140,000, but wound up grossing $20 million. It also wound up grossing out just about everybody who had the stomach to sit through it. That's why the Texas Chainsaw Massacre ranks number 9 on our list.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the renaissance of the modern horror movie, Leatherface Sawyer, cannibalistic, transvestite.
I was terrified by it. It was so real.
I remember being at a friend's house younger and we were all watching it. It was just so scary.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Scariest movie I ever saw.
Yeah, I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre a long time ago. I thought he would have run out of gas and that, with the chainsaw.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of my favorite movies. It came out right after my first movie. I went to a theater in Times Square. I felt like whoever made this movie must be like the Manson gang. There must be some guys out in the middle of Texas that are high on speed and killing people in their spare time.
And there was something so grisly about that movie. And I don't know if it was the low-budget quality that it had, the way that it was shot, but it was just a really horrifying movie to me.
There was really that sense of a director who was going to go all the way and then beyond. It also has incredible energy. That movie does not stop.
It's one of those movies I think I put on now. I probably see it would still scare me.
Chainsaw director Tobe Hooper was also behind the camera for another movie on our list. Do you know which one? Well, we'll get to that later. Now, first, let's take a look at how the folks at E-Online ranked our list of silliest scary movies.
Silly and scary at the same time? These movies are the best of both worlds. You howled at An American Werewolf in London, which ranked at number 5. You ranked the classic Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein at number 4. At number 3 was the silly sequel, Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. You guys loved Gene Wilder as young Frankenstein, which ranked at number 2. And your overwhelming choice for the silliest scary movie was What Else? Scary Movie.
Hey, we're back with Rank's list of the 13 scariest movies of all time. Now, this next segment includes a couple of characters whose bite is way worse than their bark. You got it, these nasty boys have a taste for some human extra value meals.
In the days of silent film, actor Max Schreck played the original bloodsucker, the vampire Nosferatu.
The very creepy Max Schreck as Graf Orlok, the Count. Great movie.
The plot for this 1922 film was taken directly from Bram Stoker's classic novel, Dracula.
The possible existence of a vampire is not so far-fetched in some people's mind. There's a fascination about the idea of being able to live forever and come back life after life.
Nosferatu not only had influences in film and the look of horror movies, I think it influenced the whole culture of goth kids. Where would they be without Nosferatu? What would they wear?
Nosferatu might have been the original vampire movie, but the one that slayed us was made in 1931 with Bela Lugosi.
I am Dracula.
He's why Dracula ranks at number 8 on our countdown.
Dracula is a phenomenally sophisticated concept, and it's amazing how it has persisted because it's a very complex, intelligent villain. There's a lot of sexuality in it, a lot of seduction.
You know, the woman, oh, don't bite me, please, no, don't bite me on my neck that is exposed to you at this moment.
This is a very sophisticated, ancient creature that you kind of feel is smarter than you are.
Through the years, Hollywood has turned out dozens of crazy Dracula spin-offs, including Dracula's Daughter, Dracula's Dog, Dracula's Widow, The Brides of Dracula, Children of Dracula, Dr. Dracula, Mama Dracula, Billy the Kid versus Dracula, and the 1972 classic that no one should miss, Blackula.
Now, Dracula was just into a little neck biting, but our next movie features a villain who was after the whole enchilada. Back in the summer of 1975, the fictitious island of Amity was terrorized by a man-eater from the deep with one mean set of choppers. Swimming in at number 7 on our list is the mega hit Jaws.
Jaws is one of my favorite movies of all time. I mean, that was like the first movie, like, oh, you had to see it.
Oh no, that's where a big fish bites people. Those things really frighten me.
Well, we wouldn't want to do that, Diane. It's been more than 25 years since Jaws was released, and people are still afraid to go in the water.
I thought, I'm not going swimming in the ocean ever again. I don't think I ever have. I have a pool. That's scary enough.
After I saw Jaws, I didn't swim for weeks.
Jaws made me not go into the water no more. I mean, now black people will go to a pool party and won't even get in the water no more because of Jaws.
And I was scared of swimming in general, pools, taking showers. I was a pretty disgusting kid for a long time.
Steven Spielberg was only 27 years old when he directed Jaws, his second feature film. The movie went $10 million over budget, and Universal figured Jaws was going to be a disaster. Instead, it became Hollywood's first summer event movie and one of the top 20 highest-grossing movies of all time.
The setup is the best. You got to have a good setup.
Jaws, I think, is pure genius. I think it's one of the great films of American cinema. It is his scariness and man versus nature, which is one of the primal fears. This killing machine that comes out of nowhere and chooses these guys to confront.
You never saw the shark until like toward the end of the movie. Then you were like, oh my God, look at this huge monstrosity.
He's eating his way right through that line. Yeah, he's working his way right up to us. Quint! Here, come on, Quint! Come on! Hurry! Quint! Out of my way.
I have this humongous fear of sharks, and so it's the kind of thing where I think I saw Jaws 1, 2, 3, and 4 all within like 4 days when I was 12 years old, and then after that I couldn't even swim in a swimming pool for like the next couple of weeks. Totally scary movie, like still now terrifying, even though you can see the little man inside the shark like working his mouth. It's still a totally scary movie. And I love the old crazy, like, you know, pirate captain.
Well, Jaws gave birth to a couple of really forgettable sequels that fortunately didn't quite make it onto our list. But with that in mind, let's take a look at another E! Online poll. This time we asked you guys to rank the worst scary movie sequels.
These movies are really scary, and not in a good way. At number 5 is the follow-up to An American Werewolf in London, An American Werewolf in Paris. Oh, those French. The Rage? You didn't think so. The Rage, Carrie 2, ranked at number 4. Exorcist 2, The Heretic, didn't raise any interest with you. That one came in at number 3. The Third Time wasn't a charm for Jaws 3D, which fell at number 2. And some guys just don't know when to say when. You ranked Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, as the number 1 worst scary movie sequel.
Hey, we're back with Rank, the show that takes the best of everything in entertainment and pop culture and puts it in order for you. We're counting down the 13 scariest movies of all time. You know, a girl in ruby slippers once said, "There's no place like home." Actually, she said it a few times. But I'll bet that little girl wasn't talking about any of these haunted houses.
What was the movie? Amityville or something like that? There was like a haunted house in there. That stuff was like scary.
Ooh, good memory, Ashton. Considering you were only a year old when the Amityville Horror came out in 1979. That was the movie with the haunted house that had the blood oozing from the walls and bubbling up from the plumbing. Not exactly home sweet home.
When you move into a new house and you sleep there the first night,
That's scary.
But as haunted houses go, the one in Poltergeist is the ultimate. If Jaws made people afraid to go in the water, then this thriller, produced by Steven Spielberg, made us afraid of our own TV sets. That's why Poltergeist ranks number 6 on our list.
After I saw Poltergeist, I didn't watch TV for weeks.
That was a pretty scary movie. When the guy rips his face off in the mirror. Yeah, that was pretty good.
I don't like anything that's not supposed to move. I don't mind Jason. Jason don't bother me. I outrun him. He's a big goofy dude with a hockey mask. Not worried about him. I don't like no dolls. I hate clowns. So in Poltergeist, when that clown grabbed that little boy, now I'm nervous now. I need some water. I'm parched now.
For you trivia fans left dangling in the last segment, yes, Tobe Hooper, director of our number 9 scary movie, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, also directed Poltergeist.
Totally great scary movie. Came out like right when I was like at an age where I was like scared of ghosts and stuff like that. Remember the little midget lady? I didn't know what she said, but I loved her. She was scary, all on her own. This house is clean, and so's my pillbox hat.
Poltergeist is the ultimate movie about ghosts, in my opinion, and how ghosts can really wreak havoc on a typical middle American family.
That was a fun, scary movie to me. It was, it really has Spielberg's influence of screaming into the light and climbing the ropes up in the light and everything. It's like, whoa. A lot of fun, and some very, very fun moments in it.
I think Poltergeist was one of the first films to kind of mix genres. In a way, it's one part action movie, one part ghost story. So I love the fact that it added other layers into the story.
Now, raising kids can be a nightmare, but in the world of scary movies, it can sometimes be murder.
I think The Omen proves that there's nothing scarier than a little kid.
Oh, is that the one with Damien, the devil child? Scary as can be.
You got that right. Damien was that freaky 5-year-old in The Omen. Now, this kid was no ordinary brat in need of an attitude adjustment. Damien was the son of Satan, the devil's spawn, Lucifer's little boy. You get the picture.
Omen 1, 2, and 3, I've seen all 3 of them many times.
We only had room for one of them in our countdown, so we ranked the original Omen at number 5 on our list of the 13 scariest movies.
God, The Omen reminds me of when I was a little kid seeing this movie, and I think I wasn't allowed to watch it, but it was the kind of thing like I would find it on the TV or something. Oh my God, that was such a scary movie. Like for years after that, I would look at all my friends to see if they had tattoos and stuff like that. I'm trying to look for the mark on my buddy. Man, I bet you got the mark. I'm not gonna be your friend no more.
My favorite is definitely The Omen. It's the one that stays with me, and no matter how many times I watch it, it's continually powerful and scary.
The priest goes up to the church and he gets killed by the lightning rod. Hilarious.
Damien Omen. It's freaky.
The kid was the scariest, I think, in that movie.
And I always remember Damien on his little tricycle. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, so disturbing.
The innocent child is the dangerous thing is a very powerful image.
Great production values. I liked it like a sort of an epic horror movie. I liked it a lot.
It was beautifully directed. Richard Donner just can really mount a film, and I think it had some great sequences in it.
Only 4 movies left on our show. Can you stand the excitement? Okay, well, just relax and take a deep breath. We're almost there. Coming up, they slice, they dice. They're some of the nastiest bad guys in scary movie history. But first, let's get back to another scary E-Online poll. This time, we asked you to sound off on your list of kids that you never want to babysit.
Babysitters, beware. You ranked Cole Sear from The Sixth Sense at number 5. Poor little Rosemary's Baby from the movie of the same name came in at number 4. If you want to talk about a real devil child, there's Damien from The Omen at number 3. Of course, being possessed by the devil is just as bad. That's why Regan McNeil from The Exorcist ranked at number 2. In the number 1 spot, you picked them as the kids you never want to babysit. They're the Children of the Corn.
We're down to rank Rank's final 4 scariest movies of all time. But before we move on, let's take a look back at our list, starting at number 13.
That would be A Nightmare on Elm Street. At number 12 is Alien. Number 11, our favorite prom queen, Carrie. Number 10, Scream. Number 9, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. At number 8, Dracula. Number 7, Jaws. Number 6, Poltergeist. And who could forget number 5, The Omen?
Ready to keep going? In 1978, director John Carpenter made a movie that set the standard for all slasher movies that followed. The film starred the original scary movie Scream Queen, Jamie Lee Curtis. Yep, Halloween ranks at number 4 on our countdown.
Guys with knives and kitchen implements, they'll cut you up.
Everybody wants to run in the woods from Michael Myers, you know what I mean?
I was like in 2nd grade when that came out. No one was allowed to watch it, but I somehow caught it on cable. And it was that music, that din 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 din, just still freaks me out.
That white face, that whole thing, scared the living stuff out of me.
I was impressed that people screamed and did all the things that John said it was going to do. And sure enough, you know, there was a woman in Hollywood who, when I left the house to go across the street, stood up and screamed, "Don't go in there, girl!"
Michael Myers may be one of the greatest bad guys in the world of horror films. Just the sight of that white mask, let alone the butcher knife, was enough to send anyone running for the hills. Attention all you indie movie makers, the film was produced for a mere $325,000 and ended up grossing more than $65 million.
Halloween, I think, is a classic knockdown, drag-out female in distress. Certainly one of the early films to completely exploit the blank mask of the killer who has no feelings whatsoever, or you don't know what he's thinking, or even if it's a he, I suppose. A great scream and run movie.
It really bothers me that the guy just keeps coming back. I mean, let's kill him already and get it over with.
Michael Myers' relentless pursuit of Laurie Strode, no matter how many times he's turned away, keeps coming back silently for more and more and more.
I don't like blood, and I don't like sharp instruments. So, you know, the combination, scary.
Director John Carpenter has had a slew of horror hits since Halloween, including The Fog, also starring Jamie Lee Curtis, and The Thing.
John Carpenter's a great talent. I still think John Carpenter composes for the widescreen frame like very few other directors are capable of doing. He's got a hell of an eye and a great feel for a story, and has made several masterpieces in the genre.
And speaking of great directors, the late Stanley Kubrick was one of the best in the biz. In 1980, he turned out a killer thriller, and I'll give you a hint. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
What's that movie with Jack Nicholson?
You still can't guess? Well, how about this? Red Rum, Red Rum.
What was it called? I saw it when I was really little.
The Shining?
Yeah.
That's right. The Shining ranks at number 3.
The Shining creeped me out because I think I saw it at a really young age when I shouldn't have. I saw it when I was 8, and it's all confusing because it's like psychological, and you see like dead bodies and like the bathtub and the reflection in the mirror and red rum, red rum. So yeah, that movie probably creeped me out the most.
Okay, The Shining is, I think, one of the most brilliant films ever made.
It was that scary movie that you watched with your friends late at night. Very scary, very, very scary. Amazing performance by Jack Nicholson.
The Shining was really scary, and Jack Nicholson, he's a freak.
I still get the sense if I go somewhere in the cold, in the snow, any kind of remote place, house, I get that creepy kind of icky feeling that Jack's gonna come around the corner.
Jack Nicholson's performance in The Shining can only be described as over the top. When he hacked his way through the bathroom door to find Shelley Duvall.
You're cooped up with Shelley Duvall's character for weeks on end. You might grab an axe too.
I see your point.
And it's just mortifying. It's terrifying. I've always loved The Shining. I'm scared out of my wits. And every time I rewatch the movie, I make sure I never stay in a hotel room with that number, like 247 or whatever that was.
What a freaky movie. Stanley Kubrick's images of the blood flowing through the walls and the little kid on his big wheel, you know, going through the hotel. that movie freaked me out.
Well, The Shining, I think, is much more of an elegant, scary thing. You know, you're just kind of swept into this general sense of malaise, and it's a very slow build, I found.
Here's Johnny! Jack Nicholson is, in fact, crazy. Well, I mean, he's not crazy like dangerous crazy, but he's a wacky guy. It was so easy for him to play crazy.
Red Rum, those little girls, that image will never leave me.
Are you kidding me? I mean, who did not have nightmares about Red Rum and the twin sisters for years to come?
The scariest thing in Shining to me, for some strange reason, was her finding the notebook of Jack Nicholson's character where it's just all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. And there was just something about the density of that prop, that somebody had actually written it in all these different ways that just made you feel, oh, this guy is completely over the edge, you know.
Okay, we're getting down to the wire, but before we reveal the top 2 scariest movies, we're going to take a look at another E-Online poll. This time we asked you at home to rank the scary movie animals you considered man's worst friends.
Even the folks from PETA wouldn't give you a hard time for ranking these nasty animals. King Kong ranked at number 5. I guess the big guy did have a heart after all. Flying into the number 4 spot, you ranked those crazy creatures from Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. Nobody was too fond of those raptors or that nasty T-Rex in Jurassic Park. Those guys got ranked at number 3. You ranked that big-mouthed shark in Jaws at number 2. And man's worst friend was, of all things, a dog. You ranked Cujo number 1.
Scary, very scary.
It was terrifying.
I nearly wet my pants.
I was frightened.
Shower scene.
I could not take a shower for a very long time after that.
Turned you off to showers? Why? Whatever are you talking about? Could it be Psycho?
I didn't shower for weeks.
Yep, that's it. We ranked Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho as the number 2 scariest movie of all time.
I was a kid when Psycho came out, and that was really, really frightening. Psycho, for my generation, was a whole new ball game.
The film remains one of Hitchcock's masterpieces and contains what some people consider the scariest sequence in cinema history.
The murderer, you see, crept in here very slowly. Of course, the shower was on, there was no sound, and
after seeing Psycho, I guarantee you're going to lock the door when you take a shower. Try not to. Just try not to.
Very frightening when the woman gets stabbed in the shower. Very, very frightening.
The story goes that Hitchcock received an angry letter from the father of a girl who refused to take a shower after seeing the film. Hitchcock allegedly wrote a note back saying, "Send her to the dry cleaners."
Obviously, Psycho is a great, scary. The Norman Bates, the Anthony Perkins work in that is, you can watch it again and again and again. Really, it really disturbs me.
The last scene where he turns around and he's dressed like his mother is a scary scene too, and very appropriate for Tony Perkins. I thought the man had met the role.
I didn't wear pants purposely when I went to see it because I didn't want to get thrown out, because I knew my pants would be scared off.
Scariest movie of all time, of course, is Psycho.
Not so fast there, Peter. We've got one left. Now let's see. We've already been scared half to death by an acid-tongued alien, a chainsaw-crazy transvestite, a man-eating shark, a hotel caretaker with an axe to grind, and a knife-wielding mama's boy. But who would have thought that we were most terrified by an innocent 12-year-old girl? Now, when this next scary movie opened the day after Christmas in 1973, there were reports of widespread hysteria. People were running out of theaters or fainting in the aisles. Now, that's got to be some scary movie. Are you ready? Well, the number 1 scariest movie of all time is...
The Exorcist. The Exorcist.
That's right, The Exorcist.
They say if there's like 3 things you remember in your lifetime, like when you're married, when you were bar mitzvahed or something, and where you were during The Exorcist.
When The Exorcist first came out, I couldn't see it. It was like, if you saw The Exorcist, it could change your life. It could, like, ruin your life. You could be a drug addict or become a Mooney or something like that. They re-released it, like, in '76. So that's when I finally saw The Exorcist. Boy, I was waiting so hard to see it too.
The Exorcist was the scariest movie ever, of all time. I don't know anyone that isn't afraid of that movie. To this day, if I'm home alone and The Exorcist comes on, I have to change it. I'm scared to death.
Exorcist I saw in Westwood, California, on a rainy night, opening night, stood in line, everybody stood in the rain, sat down, the movie began, and grown men ran out with wet curly hair who'd stood in line for 4 hours to see it.
I saw The Exorcist for the first time only 2 years ago, and we purposely rented it in the afternoon in my house, a friend of mine and I. We were so petrified by the end of this film, like that icky, freaky, like, okay, we gotta go outside kind of thing. But the problem was we rented it in the afternoon, so by the time it was over, it was dark. And that was the mistake we were trying to avoid, you know?
I remember watching it when I was very young and my mother wouldn't let me watch it, and I was really scared and I had terrible dreams afterwards.
Some people say it's a horror film, some people say it's not. Because being that it's about good versus evil, we will never, those are things you cannot see, and it's about faith.
The Exorcist was one of the great movies that crossed all barriers of taste and decency. I mean, the minute you have a pre-teenage girl, you know, squatting down and relieving herself on the carpet while she's saying you're going to die in space, everybody in the audience just flipped out. It unseated the audience's ability to cope with it and left them completely vulnerable to whatever was coming next.
To take this normal little girl and have this horrible thing happen to her, people felt that it could be them.
By this sign of the Holy Cross of our Lord Jesus Christ, who lives and reigns with the Father and the Holy Spirit. Damien!
Amen.
God, defender of the human race! Look down in pity!
You killed your mother!
Your servant!
You left her alone to die! Shut up! I'll never forgive you!
Shut up!
Bastard!
I command you, by the judge of the living and the dead, to depart from the servant of God. It's the power. Holy water. It's the power of Christ that compels you.
The most haunting thing about The Exorcist, which really makes it the most terrifying movie of all time, is that it's spiritual. It's forces that we cannot defeat. It's not the boogeyman. We can't just chop him up with an axe. He's going to get us. The devil is going to get us.
I'm just Catholic enough, born but not raised, to have been utterly freaked out by The Exorcist. It took me 20 years to watch it a second time.
It's just very real. It was just very evil.
People were afraid of me. You just see them. People all of a sudden, they'd see me. They would just stop in their tracks. And what I really felt for a long time is people could not separate the two. I was this little girl that was possessed, so maybe I was still possessed. They could not separate it.
It scared the living pants off me, you know.
The vomiting was scary. Vomit is scary.
But I always love it when she walks downstairs and pees. This truly is the scariest movie I've ever seen.
It's really, really disturbing.
Use of bodily fluids of the famous vomiting, which is now almost a joke, but at that time was just so over the line.
All that pea soup flying around was like, I thought was pretty cool. But I love The Exorcist.
When you're making any type of film, especially a scary film, you are the one that's creating that. It's the script, it's the camera, it's the actors. So we create what it is that eventually becomes what you're afraid of.
So there you have it, ranks 13 scariest movies of all time. Did you see your favorite on the list? Are you disappointed that Child's Play 3 didn't make the countdown? Well, let us know what you think. If you're not there already, log on to E! and send us a few lines. Now, if you're lucky or just really funny, we might read your comments on the air. I'm Brooke Burke from Not Scary Farm saying, see you next time. Bye.
Red rum, red rum.
It's alive!
Here's Johnny. They're all gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna laugh at you.
I see dead people.
Good evening. I am Dracula. I bid you welcome.
They're here.
Pulls no punches.
He said I should have never gotten married.
From troubled marriage to